grade fives. It's time for another chapter of our Lemony Snicket book. The solution for the last mystery is on the last assignment for chapter one. If you just look at the comments, I just wrote it down in there. So if you're wondering what the solution to that mystery is, you just have to go back to that assignment and click on it and check out the comments, and it'll explain what happened. Today's chapter is chapter 2, and it's called Pinched Creature. I was spending the afternoon with my associate, Moxie Mallahan. Moxie was Stained by the Sea's only reporter, a job she had learned from her parents, who had run the town's newspaper, the Stained Lighthouse. The newspaper was shut down, Mrs. Mallahan had left town, Mr. Mallahan was sleeping late, and Moxie and I were just hanging around the lighthouse, doing a little reading and talking over various incidents that had happened recently. "It's been too long since we've done this," Moxie said. "Done what?" "Had an uneventful time like this." Right on cue, the doorbell rang, as if to say enough was enough of uneventfulness, and when Moxie opened the door, there was an event. The event was a boy several years younger than I was and much more upset. He wore a white coat like a scientist and had 2 pairs of glasses, one over his eyes and the other perched on his head. "I'm sorry to disturb you," the boy said, "but you're the closest neighbor and I need some help." "Oliver," Moxie said, "I didn't know your family was still in town." She turned to me. "Oliver's parents are the only veterinarians left in Stained by the Sea. So few people have pets nowadays, I assumed the Dr. Sobel had closed up shop." "They have," Oliver said, his eyes blinking nervously behind his glasses, "but I'm here for a few more months running the business until they come and fetch me." "Well, if you ever want company," Moxie said, "hike up the hill and we'll play some parcheesi. This is my friend Lemony Snicket, by the way. He won't play parcheesi because he says it's inane." "It is inane," I said, and inane is a word which here means pointless and dull. Oliver frowned. I can't say I blame him. If you are worried about something, it is not a good time to listen to people argue over games and vocabulary. He sat down glumly at the bottom of the stairs that spiraled up to the lighthouse's lantern. "I'm sorry, Oliver," Moxie said. "We were prattling on while you have something on your mind." "I sure do," Oliver said. "I've lost a newt." Moxie and I both looked at Oliver. If we'd looked at each other, we might have laughed. "It might sound silly," Oliver said, "but this newt is very important." Moxie's eyebrows went up underneath her hat. What could be so important about a little lizard? "First of all," Oliver said, "newts aren't lizards. A lizard is a reptile and a newt is an amphibian. Second of all, this newt is a very rare subspecies. I've lost an amaranthine newt, known for its bright yellow color and prevalent left-handedness. It was the only one in captivity and prized by herpetologists and southpaws all over the world." "Why do they call it the amaranthine newt if it's bright yellow?" I asked. "Amaranthine means purple, doesn't it?" "Its eggs are purple," Oliver said. "My father took the eggs with him to his new job at Amphibians A Go-Go, an aquatic animal center and amusement park just outside the city. The newt and I were supposed to join them there soon. If I can't find the newt, my father might lose his job." "Don't fret, Oliver," Moxie said, although I could see that Oliver just kept on fretting. "Snicket here has a knack for finding strange missing items. Isn't that so, Snicket?" "Oh, it's sometimes so," I said. "Oliver, why don't you tell us how the newt slipped away?" "I don't think it slipped away," Oliver said. "I think it was pinched." "Somebody stole it?" Moxie said. "That's a serious accusation to make." She sat down and opened a case on the floor. Inside was a typewriter that Moxie Mallahan always kept nearby, and she started taking notes immediately on the clattering machine. "I'm making it seriously," Oliver said. "The amaranthine newt lives in a special tank on a desk in my examining room, so I can always keep an eye on it. It was there when I opened for business this morning." "And how many patients did you have today?" I asked. "Just one," Oliver said. "You were right about few people having pets, Moxie, but Polly Partial has 2 of the last cats in town, and one of them is a narcissistic disorder." "Polly Partial, the grocer?" Moxie asked and met my eye. Neither of us was fond of the woman who ran Partial Foods, but lots of people nobody is fond of have 6 cats. sick cats. Her cat, Paper Bag, has been a patient of my family's for a very long time, Oliver said. I can't imagine that his owner is a thief, but greed and newts can do strange things to people. I examined Paper Bag and went to my desk to write a prescription. Then I escorted Partial and Paper Bag out and spent a few minutes in the backyard watering my father's zinnias. The flowers match the trim on the office as long as you keep them healthy, and I'd like to leave the place looking nice. When I went back into the office, the tank was empty. Someone must have snuck in while you were gardening, Moxie said. Oliver shook his head. I would have heard anyone else driving up the road. They need not have arrived by automobile, I said. To pinch my newt, Oliver said, they'd need a similar tank. You couldn't fit one on a bicycle or a donkey. Polly Partial must have stolen the newt, but I don't see how. I don't mean to be rude, I said, but can you really trust your eyes? I noticed you've not one, but 2 pairs of glasses. Oliver gave me a stern, lens-covered look. My eyes aren't perfect, he said, but with these glasses I can see perfectly well, and I keep the other pair in my head for reading. You don't have bifocals, I asked, referring to eyeglasses that combine 2 lenses into one. There aren't any optometrists left in town, Moxie told me. The closest eye doctor is over in Paltryville, but she doesn't have a very good reputation. Did you use your reading glasses when you were with Paper Bag? I asked Oliver. He nodded. When I wrote up the prescription. Well, I'm sure you saw clearly, I said, but I'm not sure I do. Shall we walk over to the Sobel office? Oliver said yes, and so we did, Moxie carrying her typewriter and me trying to think. It was a warm, breezy day, and the wind carrying a salty smell from the seaweed of the clustrous forest, an eerie phenomenon that lay below the cliff we were on. But we walked the other way, down a road as bumpy and cracked as a vase falling down the stairs. Soon enough, we could see the office of the Dr. Sobel, a faraway building with yellow and orange trim, but when we rounded a corner, something made us stop. There was a car, pulled over to the side of the road, and a man frowning at the car like it had given him socks for his birthday. Good afternoon, I said. Not my opinion, the man replied, and used his right hand to point at one of the car's tires. It also looked a little sad. I seem to have a flat. There's a garage about a half-mile that-a-way, Moxie said, pointing that-a-way with one finger. Thank you, said the man. I'm a doorknob salesman passing through town, and I'm late for an appointment. I guess I'd better walk on over to the garage. My car doesn't have anything valuable in it, so I suppose it will be all right. I peeked through the window of his car. I couldn't help it. I'd been trained to do such things. There was nothing in it. Oliver had other concerns. You haven't noticed a newt crawling around, have you? Or a suspicious person, Moxie added. What kind of person, the man asked. I saw a woman driving by in a beat-up grocery van. And what kind of lizard? Oliver sighed in annoyance. It's an amaranthine newt, he said, and that woman is probably a thief. A newt will be hard to find, said the stranger, but I might look in the patch of zinnia as I passed. It could blend in and hide there easily. You're thinking of a chameleon, I said, but you're probably right that we won't find the newt. We might as well help you instead. What? Oliver said, blinking in astonishment, and Moxie frowned. Do you have a spare tire in the trunk? I continued, talking to the man. The supposed salesman shook his head. Nope. That's too bad, I said, but maybe you have something that would do in a pinch. I don't think so, the man said quickly in a pinched voice. In a pinch is a phrase which here means in a difficult situation, and a pinched voice is a whiny and nervous one, but neither of these pinches was the pinch I was thinking of. Open the trunk anyway, I said, so we can see the special newt tank you have hidden in there. I wonder how he figured that out. I wonder if Lemony is right. You'll have to share your thoughts with me on the latest quiz. Now remember, we're calling it a quiz because it's more fun to do it as a quiz form than it is to just me ask you questions and you answer them. So don't worry about scores or anything like that because it's all kind of just for checking comprehension and see if you're understanding. Also, I want to remind everybody to make sure that when you're finished with something, you click turn in at the end. You don't have to share things with me on Google Classroom because they automatically are sent to me, but it does help me to know that you're finished an assignment when you click turn in. Back on Monday with another chapter of Lemony Snicket, file under 13 suspicious incidents. I can't wait to hear some of your opinions. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Take lots of time to have some fun, hang out with your family, lots of rest, and don't forget to wash your hands.